Story 1. I have worked in customer service for years and have a few fun stories about entitled people as well as those that remind you of the brainless jellyfish meme. Back in 2019, my wife, my younger sister, and I went out to my favorite pizza joint because I had a rough couple of days dealing with entitled individuals. And food I like is usually a great pick-me-up. I am a very professional person at work. So much so that when my coworkers see me out of the office, they are a little surprised because I am quite different. I use strong language and have no problem telling people that bother me to get lost. Here we were, at a local pizza joint on a Friday evening. The place was packed. You couldn't hear your friends talk to you from across the table because it was so loud. The three of us had just built our pizzas, and they were going into the oven. This place does the build your own personal pizza thing. We were sitting at a table with a couple of beers, with ages ranging from the late 20s to early 30s. As adults do, a few jokes were swapped, most of them in bad taste because we have terrible senses of humor. Honestly, I don't even remember what the joke was. I just remember both my wife and sister making a comment that they didn't know me, to which I responded, "Whatever, you know you witches love me." I said this loud enough that the people at my table could hear me, but not so loud that you'd hear it if you were more than a few feet from me because of the chaos of a busy pizza place. In comes this man. Apparently, he had been refilling his soda right behind me, heard me, and decided that the hill he wanted to die on that day was setting me straight in public about my language. "You know you shouldn't say that." "Excuse me?" "Cursing. You shouldn't curse in public where children might hear you." There were no children in that half of the shop. "Not my problem." "Oh, so now you're going to be immature about it. Are you even old enough to be drinking those beers?" "Ah, well, I am at least mature enough to mind my own business." "And what kind of example are you setting for this young lady here?" He gestured to my sister, at which point she barked out a laugh. "Oh, I'm setting a shining example of how to mind my business and not harass other people in a restaurant." "You need to stop. What if you teach some kids this?" "Again, not my problem. They are going to hear this at some point, and any parent worth their salt knows this and has already started teaching their kids when it is and isn't appropriate to use some words. Which I see your parents didn't do. You must be some kind of jobless leech taking money from these two ladies because you couldn't get a job with the way you speak." "No, sir. I am very gainfully employed. I deal with enough nonsense at work and like to relax when I'm not dealing with people such as yourself whose heads are so far up their own rear that they feel they see daylight. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have this lovely beer to drink, so you can leave and have a nice day." Seeing that he was getting nowhere with his holier-than-thou speech with me, he turned red in the face and commented to my sister that if she wasn't careful around me, I'd turn her into a garish witch. At this point, my wife stabbed me in the leg literally with a plastic spork. No damage taken to keep my attention, so I would not stand up and beat this man with his own cane. Her ability to keep me somewhat level-headed was rewarded because, a few minutes later, the owner of the place stopped by our table and apologized that we had to deal with that. Apparently, this guy had been coming in over the last few weeks and creating problems with other people. He got banned, and we got a free pitcher of beer. Never saw the old guy again. Story 2? Hey, this is my first time posting here, but here we go. This is a story my father told me when he was out making runs for a food delivery service, not sure which. He went to a TGI Fridays or something like that, and he parked in one of the spots that are designated for these drivers, which happened to be the last spot that was for them. Cue entitled woman. She approached my father's car and knocked on his window. Once he rolled it down, the following conversation occurred. You just took my spot." No. This spot is for food delivery drivers, and that's what I'm doing here." "Well, I was going for that spot, and you took it from me." The arguing went on like this for a minute until she smacked him over the spot. Now, a little backstory. Very important. My father is ex-military. I was born in a military hospital, and he served for a total of 8 years. You can imagine this bigger guy getting smacked by a woman. Oh, and did I mention he has his concealed carry permit? Well, you can imagine he didn't like getting smacked and pulls the pistol he keeps on his hip. Not sure what kind of gun it is, but he has no problem making it known he has it and points it at her with the safety on, instructing her to back away from him and his car. Of course, instead of doing so, this lady flips out, yells, and calls the police. Yes, she called the police as she was standing behind his car, stopping him from going anywhere, drawing a crowd to her as she screamed about the gun. The police showed up and separated the two. They got stories from both of them. My father showed he has his concealed carry permit, his gun is registered, and no wrongdoing was done. After all this, the cop asked if my dad wanted to press charges for assault. Of course, my father said yes. This woman just put him through a bunch of unnecessary nonsense. This all happened on a Friday, so that lady had to spend a weekend in jail, all over a spot. Story 3. This story is a bit old now as it happened when I had my last guide dog, but it's still worth sharing. Because I'm blind, I do almost all of my grocery shopping at the same Safeway. It's a bit farther from my home, but I know the layout of it, where to find things, and the staff there better than any other store. I was about midway through my shopping and on the cheese aisle. As I was trying to find the string cheese my son likes best, I heard someone stomp up to me. I told my guide dog to get in front of me so he would be out of the way. Before he could even start to react, this woman started yelling at me. "You need to keep your dog away from me. I'm deathly allergic to dogs." "Excuse me? If you don't keep your dog away from me, I will defend myself." "Ma'am, it's a felony to injure a service animal. How do you expect me to keep away from you? I'm blind. I can't even see you to avoid you. Try me." At this point, I walked up to the front and asked the cashier at self-checkout to call a manager. When the manager came over, he greeted me and asked what was going on. I informed him that a woman was threatening to harm my guide dog because I wouldn't stay away from her. The cashier was kind enough to describe the woman to him and the other manager who had just arrived. One of the managers helped me with the rest of my shopping to make sure she didn't try anything, and the other manager called the police to help deal with the woman. I didn't encounter her for the rest of my trip, and the manager opened a register just for me, so I didn't have to wait in line. From what I was told the next time I went there, the woman had to be physically removed by the police and was not only banned for life from all Safeway stores, but was also arrested for spitting on the manager and a police officer. Story 4. I have a work-related entitled parent story this time. I work at a supermarket in a state where it's illegal for supermarkets to sell liquor. The supermarket happens to be less than a mile away from a major college that is well known for its National Collegiate Athletic Association Division I athletic programs. So it's not uncommon for out-of-state students to ask where our liquor section is during the first few weeks of the school term. Usually, I tell them that supermarkets can't sell liquor in the state, and as long as it's not after 5 p.m. on a Sunday, I point out that there's a liquor store in the plaza. One Sunday afternoon, about 2 years ago, I was working in the dairy department when this woman came up to me and asked where our alcohol section was. So I told her that we didn't sell liquor. This woman basically screamed, "What do you mean you don't carry liquor? What kind of supermarket doesn't sell liquor? Is it just this supermarket? We don't have this particular chain where we live, but we do have a competitor supermarket, and they sell liquor. So if we go to one of those markets, will they carry liquor? We wanted to buy our daughter a few bottles of alcohol to last her the semester." The woman pointed to a girl who was wearing a City College mascot t-shirt, and to be honest, the girl barely looked old enough to be in high school, let alone college. I sighed and started my usual explanation of our state's laws. "Actually, ma'am, none of the supermarkets in this state sell liquor. It's illegal." The woman started getting more agitated. "What about gas station convenience stores?" "Nope, they're not allowed to sell liquor either. Only designated liquor stores are allowed to sell liquor in this state. If you're looking for a liquor store, there's one on the other side of the plaza, but I think it closes in about an hour." The woman sighed and said, "We've already been there. They carded our daughter the moment we walked in and refused to sell us anything because she isn't 21 yet. Even after she went to sit in the car, they wouldn't sell us anything. Can you believe that? So we came here since, at least in our state, supermarkets won't card everyone you're shopping with when you buy liquor. We thought we'd be able to let our sweet daughter pick out a few bottles to take with her to school so she wouldn't feel left out when she went to parties. But I guess we can't do that here." She then stomped off in a huff, muttering about how ridiculous it was for states to have laws against selling liquor in supermarkets and gas stations, and all she wanted to do was buy some alcohol for her underage daughter's first semester of college. I honestly wish I had been in a position to tell her, "Ma'am, do you want to know what else is against the law? Buying liquor for someone under the age of 21. But alas. Story 5. Background. This happened recently when the airline I work for had an entitled woman show up and ignore the airline's policy for international travel. She was previously denied boarding the day before for not following the airline policy. She ended up being very belligerent and did not fly at all. Side note, I will be hiding some information like the entitled woman's destination, the airline I work for, and names due to privacy reasons, but I will try to disclose as much as I can. Story. Hello, miss? May I have your passport, please? And what is your final destination? Do not call me miss. Stop being so arrogant. Also, why do I have to show my passport? It is in my luggage. I am not taking it out for you. You liars should know that I was denied yesterday, and it should be saved on that I am going to country X. Okay, ma'am. Do you have the COVID-19 test and the health declaration to go to country X? Do not call me ma'am. Stop being rude. If you need to address me, just be direct. You guys lied to me about what I needed to come to country X. You are just some incompetent rookie, and the more you try to stall me, the more likely I will get a heart attack from dealing with you all. What happened next was that I tried to get hold of one of the lead agents at the airline to help assist me with the entitled woman, but she ended up walking away from me and straight to the counter, ignoring others. Did you check that lady's documents? No. Stop her and ask for it. I stopped her before she could make it to the counters. Why are you stopping me? I told you I am going to country X. I am about to go to the hospital to deal with you guys, and when that happens, I will hold everyone here responsible for the heart attack you will give me. Miss, I am sorry, but I need to verify your documents due to our airline's policy for travel to country X and their travel restrictions. Stop calling me miss. You are so arrogant. I told you I am not getting it from my luggage. I did my COVID-19 test already. I am a citizen of country X. My word should be good enough. Stop causing me more stress. I am doing this due to country X's travel restrictions and what was given on our system for travel to country X. You are just being rude and your system is wrong. Stop targeting me. Go harass someone else. Please let me call my supervisor. She walked away from me to the counter where another lead agent was assigned, and another passenger service agent was present. I walked behind the counter and informed the lead agent what just happened. Hi, can I talk to you on the side? Sure. What is the matter? Karen over here is very belligerent. I asked for her travel documentation, and she has refused to show me. Well, let me handle it for now. What happened next? I was not present for the conversation that happened next. But the lead agent called the supervisor who was acting duty manager for the day and the police due to the entitled woman saying she was about to go to the hospital from a heart attack. She was denied boarding a second time as she didn't have the proper documentation for travel, and her refusal to cooperate ended with her speaking with the police and an ambulance crew. In regards to what happened the previous day, I later found out she again didn't have the proper documentation for international travel.